Hello out there.
You're Irene.
And you're Lee.
And this is the Lee
and Irene show.
Yay! Okay, today's episode is quite literally action-packed, and I'm going to open with a sentence I never thought I'd say on this show. Our guest today has just spent weeks surviving the South African wilderness with no food, no water, and no clothes. On purpose, on national television.
You are kidding me. I hope they pack their lip balms and their sunscreen.
Absolutely. Wait till you hear the rest of her CV though. But first, Irene, how was your week?
Oh, it was really hectic as always. You know how hectic it is trying to build a business from scratch all over again and just trying to cram 8 or 10 years worth of work into one night, every night.
Yeah. Have you had much sleep?
Lee, you know I don't sleep.
I know.
How was yours?
Oh, I had a busy week too. I'm in book launch mode, as you know, and goodie bag packing mode. And I can't believe, honestly, how many companies have sponsored the goodie bags. We've got 25 things in the goodie bags, and we have a key sponsor because we're going to have this Eat to Heal wheel, like a prize wheel. Do you know who the key sponsor is?
Who's that?
It's you.
Oh, Lee. Is it because I gave you loads and loads of really awesome prizes to put on the wheel?
Yeah, you gave us the best prizes.
Oh, the book is amazing. Anyone that's listening, it is the best book you have ever written, Lee.
Yeah. And you know Big W have ordered 800 copies.
I love that because Big W is a great place to buy books.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're probably on sale there too.
Yeah.
Which is
you get a good price.
Yeah.
All right, so in What's Popping today, we're talking to Alexa Towsey, known to almost 180,000 people on Instagram as Action Alexa. She's a high-performance coach and celebrity trainer. She was the first female fully certified Jim Jones instructor in Australia. She's also raced 1,000 kilometres across Mongolia on semi-wild horses. And right now she's representing Australia on the Discovery Channel's Naked and Afraid Global Showdown. We're talking survival. We're going to talk strength training with her for women over 40. We'll talk sobriety and the mindset that holds it all together. And a gentle note just before we begin, this conversation with Alexa touches on some heavy moments, including suicide and body image struggles. So please take care while listening.
And then we're women-splaining, and I have got am I allowed to say if it's a rant or rave? I'll just tell you. Yeah, it's a rant.
Is it? Ooh, I love your rants. They're so interesting. I always come away having felt like I've, had an education.
You will this time as well because it's a true educational rant.
I love that. All right, everyone in your place. Lights, camera, action. Alexa. Hello, lovely.
Hello. What an intro.
All right, Alexa, we asked this of all of our guests. What got you into sort of, what you do, wellness and action and physical activity and television and when did you say to yourself, this is me?
All the things. Probably, I'm going to say right back when I was 15. So I was a very skinny kid.
Yeah.
And outside of being bullied at school, like my nickname at school was actually Alexa Anorexa. Aren't kids awesome?
Oh my God.
So me.
I know.
Because they were jealous.
Oh, I don't know. It wasn't really like that back then.
Yeah, because you would have grown up in the 80s.
Yeah.
And maybe 90s.
Different landscape, but definitely I went to an all-girls school, and I think the difference between bullying between being in a co-ed versus with all girls, the bullying and the remarks are very different. I think girls are very sneaky with how they go about tearing your self-confidence down, and I think I experienced that when I was 15, but that was school. But then at home, my mum was also diagnosed as bipolar, but manic depression back there. And it wasn't really a textbook recognized disease. And so home wasn't really a safe place.
Stable.
School wasn't really a safe place. And there was a specific day at school where I basically got into a confrontation actually sticking up for another student and had a chair thrown at me in class.
Oh my goodness.
And that was kind of like the turning point where I was like, what is happening here? I don't feel safe. I don't feel empowered. I need to figure out a way of being able to take care of myself. And I ended up like, I'd always walked to and from school, and I had always walked past this gym, and I'd just never gone in. And I remember walking past, and a class was spilling out, and like everyone was sort of like, red faced and sweaty and high fiving and looking completely tortured, but also completely exuberant. And, I was in New Zealand. So the guy was like, "Kia ora sis, do you want to come in for a free trial?" And I'd never ever thought about it until that moment. And something in me that day was like, you know what? Yeah, I do. And he will never know that he changed my life that day, but I'm one of those lucky people that fitness for me was such an empowering experience right from the get-go. And I think learning to utilize the weights room, being taken under the wing of like these big meatheads, in a weights room that smelled of farts and protein shakes. It was just one of those things that's where I found my first sense of security and sense of self. And I learned the connection between physical strength and mental fortitude and grit that goes alongside that. And that today is sort of what drives me to pay that gift forward. I want to pay that forward. I want other people to have the experience that I did, the one that I needed to, put my best foot forward. And I, to this day, I think it's so rewarding for me as like both a coach and a female to see other people, especially women, become empowered in their training and then watch how that translates into their attitude towards the rest of their life. So that was my turning point.
Wow. That is absolutely incredible, because I've just never drawn the connection between feeling unsafe and weak and lifting weights and going to a gym making you feel strong. It makes complete sense now that I'm saying it back, but wow.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's funny. I always look at this. One of my favorite quotes is to do with like intelligent action fixes most things. And it's kind of like, if you think about it from that sense, if you feel weak, what's the best way to stop feeling weak? Get strong. Yeah. So that's where it all started.
And was it just weights in particular, or was it the lifting of the weights, or was it boxing or something else?
I mean, boxing came later, but it all started with weights.
Wow.
I was just really drawn to it. I never really I was never really on the treadmills in the gym. I just really wanted to be in the weights room. And the minute I did my first deadlift or got my first chin up, I was like, oh my God, this is me for life.
How much can you bench?
I hate bench. I actually hate bench.
I don't know what is it. What's it called then when you lift the other?
I love deadlifting. I'm
deadlifting.
a puller, not a pusher.
Okay. Yeah. How much can you lift dead weight?
My deadlift, 130.
Guess how much I can do?
Go.
On each hand, I can do 150 grams. That's 300
Amazing.
grams.
I mean, look, it's better than nothing. Got to start from somewhere.
So speaking of being in tough environments and resilience, you're on a show called Naked and Afraid, Global Showdown. You're on it right now. You were dropped into Zululand with absolutely nothing. What did surviving teach you about the human body and mind, and what you could actually endure?
Oh, that I think that we never really truly know what we're capable of doing until we have to be capable of doing it. Mm-hmm. I've done the show 3 times now.
Have you?
Yeah. So my first experience when I'd never done, like I literally had a Zoom call to teach me how to use a ferro rod over my oven in Bondi with my cat watching.
What's a ferro rod?
Yeah. See, fire starter. So learning how to use a fire starter. And I remember I was having a chat with my friend who's a professional survivalist. I was trying to get her to teach me because I'd never learned any of these skills. Like, sure, I'd done like Girl Guides back in school, but you never get taught any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And she was showing me how to do it, and I was getting so frustrated with myself. And it was such a buzz when I finally got the Tinder to light. But I remember like, this is how little I knew about it. They've got cotton wool in the top of the ferro rod. So it's like this orange thing. It's like a magnesium rod, and you're basically striking it to cause sparks, and then you're lighting it on fire.
Yes, I've seen those, yeah.
And on the front of like the packaging, it had, the Tinder is in the top. And I'm saying to her on the phone, I'm like, what does this have to do with Tinder? Like, are they associated with like, is this a date? Like, how does this work? Is there some sort of promo? And she's like, Alexa, like the Tinder is the cotton wool and it's in the top of the ferro rod. I was like, that's how much I knew about survival. So I'm learning. That was literally my first.
Is that why it's called Tinder? Because it's a spark.
Yes, and that yes, you learned something new today. So did I.
Wow, I've got a question a question for you. Why? Well, I actually have 2 questions. Mm-hmm. Why are you naked? Is there a specific reason? And secondly, is it warm?
Okay, to answer the second question, depends where you are, but for the most part, definitely not at night. To answer the first part of that, why are you naked? Like, it's really interesting because what I always tell people, because that's always the first question that people ask is like, how can you do that naked? I could never. Everybody seems to think it's like this very sexualized thing, and it's not at all. It's basically you are just completely vulnerable to the elements and yourself. Like, it's the most vulnerable position you will ever be in. And what was really interesting about this whole process in terms of the preparation, because of course, you know, I didn't have any full-on survival skills, so I had to walk barefoot around to make sure that I'd hardened my feet up. I had to...
you were walking around Bondi markets?
Walking around, like, dodging dog shit and glass on the pavement, for like, and getting blisters and be like, oh my God, I'm never going to sell feet photos now. Like, it was wild. So you have to harden it. I was putting, like, this spray that they use on the paws of hunting dogs to toughen their feet. I was spraying that on the bottom of my feet. I painted my toenails bright yellow because I got a toxic frog out there that I was like, well, maybe, you know, if it thinks I'm poisonous, it's not gonna attack me.
Oh my goodness.
I was well out of the box. But the naked thing, it's kind of like you get thrown in this environment, and yes, you have to meet another individual who you've never met before. Mostly a girl and a guy are out there, so you are meeting another guy who's also naked, so there's the whole hugging part. That's awkward. But very quickly you realize that the nudity is the least interesting part of the show, because you've got so many other things to worry about straight off the bat. You know, you've got to, if you get dropped out there in the afternoon, you've then got to find a place to make camp. You've got to make sure you build a shelter so you can get out of the elements. You've then got to find fresh water because, you know, you can only go 3 days without water. And then you've got to figure out food. So I think right off the bat, you're kind of like, you're vulnerable to everything, but you've got so many other things to worry about that you don't really have time to stop and think about it. And for me, as somebody who has built a business and a following and a brand of having a certain physique, one of the biggest things I did to prepare that ended up being really liberating was putting on weight, because I didn't want to go out there and have the reason that I had to tap out because I got too hungry and my body, undernourished, or I got too cold.
Wow. Okay, so for our listeners, or for me, or anyone else like me, I don't know about Lee, but that's just a situation I'll never find myself in.
You never know.
Well,
I have an outdoor bar.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking.
That's as far as I go.
Yeah, so Lee's been naked in the wilderness. That's just it's not something I'll find myself in. So for someone like me, what learnings can I take from that experience that I can use in my everyday life? Because ultimately, even though you are in that environment, that is how I feel some mornings when I wake up to look at my emails, you know, being a business owner. Yeah, and so we all have our own, I guess, demons that we need to face every day. So how can we embody some of those learnings that you had in that experience in our everyday normal life, not being a nudist, just being a normal person
on the school run?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes back to sort of building confidence and trust in yourself.
So how did you, and you're right, the biggest learning I ever had in my life, and it's a whole story for another episode, was the day I realised and put into action in my life that I don't give a rat's shit what anyone thinks about me, was the most liberating, strongest thing I've ever done. So how do people, because that's exactly what you experience.
Yeah.
I've got no clothes on and this and that, and I don't care what anyone thinks of me. That's the learning, right? How do people get that?
You've got to collect proof. And like, that was probably the most extreme environment to do it. But like, for example, using your example of like a school run, and I'll talk you through how I would go first steps. But like, in that specific and extreme of an environment, I talk about the body image issues. I sort of went through, like, half of me wanted to look really good naked because I'm like, this is my national, you know, it's my TV debut. Everyone's going to see my ass. I want it to look great on TV.
It does look good, by the way.
I just
had a quick,
very peachy.
I just had a quick look.
Bulgarian split squats for the win.
Approved.
But the other part of me was like, there's another part of me that's like, I'm not just about building hard bodies. I'm about building hard minds and tough minds. And I don't want to be the reason I go home being that I'm scared of putting on weight. And it wasn't until I was carrying bamboo across my shoulders through rapids, trying to build a shelter, that I was like, this is what I'm built for. I wasn't thinking about whether I had cellulite in the direct sunlight. I wasn't thinking about whether the cameraman behind me was looking at my ass jiggling. I wasn't thinking about when I was, sitting on the ground, whether I had a roll. I was like, I'm not here to be performative. I'm here to perform. And that was proof that my body was there to do cool things. And that's what I think life is about. It's about collecting evidence and proof. And half of those things is just putting yourself in situations that you don't know that you're entirely comfortable in yet. Whether that's like you're an introvert and you don't enjoy going out to events, you could make it your goal to say hi to 3 random people you've never met this week, or give someone a big shit-eating grin when you go for a run, and even if they don't smile back, being okay with that. Saying yes to the thing and then figuring out how to do it, because honestly, half the fun is in figuring the shit out along the way.
Oh, I love that.
I also think that you don't know how you're going to react in certain situations.
No.
Like with my car accident, I had a near fatal car accident, and I was dropped like into the Australian bush upside down in a car with having to crawl through a window and through the Australian bush. And I did that, and I was just, I don't know, something took over me, and I was just like, I have to get out of this car. This car is going to set on fire and blow up.
Your body,
wow.
Your body and your mind, even more so, is capable of incredible things. We very rarely give it the opportunity to find out exactly where it will go and what it can do. And I think for me, there's a lot of talk about, get comfortable being uncomfortable. But there's a big distinction between being uncomfortable within your comfort zone. And for an athlete, that would be within the realm of physical training. They understand what workouts look like and what hard workouts look like and how they're going to feel afterwards. For me, Naked and Afraid was one of those things. I had no idea how to do the thing. I was a complete beginner again. I had to learn an entirely new skill set. I was humbled along the way, but I gave myself the opportunity to see how I would react to a bunch of variables that I had no idea of the outcome. And then you get to figure out what to do with anything that comes up after that.
What was one of the hardest things for you, would you say?
Feeling like I was going to be a burden for my partner out there, because I wasn't a survivalist. So my biggest thing, and I think it goes back to a childhood as well, of, my love language is being useful. If I can't be loved, I can be of use. And so, because my mum, as we'll talk about, I'm sure you're going to ask later, my mum had mental health issues. My dad was an alcoholic, so I never felt chosen. And so I've carried that whole, I need to prove myself, I need to be useful, that's how I'm going to be loved, through my whole entire life. And being out in the jungle, my first experience was with a partner who was quite dismissive. And the way I knew how to contribute was through my physicality. I was like, well, if I can't be a survivalist, I'm going to work really, really hard, and I'm going to be of use that way. And it was learning how to manage those feelings, how they come as they came up, learning how to communicate that, and then learning how to deal with the rejection when it ultimately came. And those are all really useful skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even in business.
Absolutely. Well, we're used to rejection. You touched on sobriety. You're really open about your sobriety on all of your platforms, and I really admire that. Having had a non-alcoholic drinks business for a number of years, I really understand sobriety, and I've spoken to many, many people that have either quit alcohol or tried to quit alcohol. Many, many people through AA, and so I've really firsthand been in that world. What role was alcohol playing in your life, and what made you walk away from it? For me, it was just the fact that it was a toxin, and I like to live a toxin-free life, and it just made me feel like crap. But I didn't really have any feelings of, like it wasn't really affecting my mental health. So for you, was it a mental health thing, or was it a weight issue as well? I lost a lot of weight when I stopped drinking.
Definitely not a weight issue for me. I said at the beginning that sort of like from 15, there was a bunch of really big stuff happening in my life. And from that point, I had 2 coping mechanisms. So during the week, I went to the gym and I built myself up. And then in the weekends, to fit in with my peer group, I burnt that shit down. And that was how I fit in. And it was really amazing to me how much more I was accepted and how much easier life was when I was drunk.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So school didn't teach me how
yes.
to deal with
Yes.
didn't teach me how to deal with my emotions, but it taught me that it was much easier to deal with my emotions if I wasn't coherent.
People
to think about
don't
them.
like sober people. That I learnt. People, I mean, the amount of hate that I got from opening up that bottle shop, the non-alcoholic bottle shop, the amount of hate was, I've never experienced that sort of online.
I also think that people think it's strange because I don't drink at all. And then someone will say, would you like a drink? And I was like, oh, no, I don't drink. I'm good.
It's the only drug you have to justify not taking.
Yeah, and
Yes,
they'll say, why not?
Why not? What's wrong?
And they'll ask me a whole heap of questions about it.
They get really mad. And men, I find mostly men will come out of the woodworks, men you don't know, that find out that you're sober and will cyberbully you over it. I've had messages in my DMs from these random men just attacking me online from when I was openly sober. Isn't that insane?
It can be, what I found is that when I gave up, it became incredibly confronting for other people when my own lifestyle choices directly shone a light into theirs, and they didn't necessarily like what they saw, but they weren't ready to admit that they should probably at some point address it. And I think it can really mirror what other people are going through, and that can be really confronting. Like, I lost entire groups of friends, and it was the beginning of the end of my relationship for sure.
Absolutely. And I'm just curious, for someone else that's sober, do you drink like a non-alcoholic beer, or do you just drink like a soft drink instead?
I'm the Coke Zero girl.
Yeah,
Coke
right.
Zero. Yeah, all the way.
Don't think that's very healthy, the artificial sweeteners in
probably
Coke
not,
Zero.
but look, I've done worse for my health, let's be honest.
Alexa, do you think with the exercising and the extreme sports and things like that, would you say you're an all or nothing person?
Yes. I've always been an adrenaline junkie. Like, I've always courted fear. You know, I'm the person that, like, I'm terrified of sharks, so I got in the shark cage. I'm terrified of heights, so I jump out of planes and off bridges. Didn't really know what I was doing survivor-wise, so I just dropped myself into the most extreme environments ever just to see what would happen. I like running those types of experiments on myself just to see what I'll do, because everything is feedback. So... yeah, and it's funny because after I had my hip replacement and obviously I died on the table.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So real life angel here, bow down, bitches.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated by that. I want to know
everything.
Did you experience any what's it called? Afterlife experiences? Did you go into
the afterlife is very underwhelming, to be fair. It's funny because someone actually had my phone. So a friend had taken me into hospital and she had my phone and she was updating my Instagram while I was in surgery. And so obviously, like, I had anaphylactic reaction to the antibiotics they were using. And so I flatlined 4 times and had to be resuscitated. And she's on Instagram basically updating people. So I get out and I'm lying in ICU. I was in ICU for a week. And I had hundreds of messages being like, did you see a white light? Did you see God? Like, were you at the stairway to heaven? Were there aliens? And the last movie I'd actually watched before I went in was Flatliners. I was like, I don't know what that says about me. But I'd also watched like a video of like hip replacements on YouTube. Don't ever do that either. That was a terrible, terrible idea. But no, I didn't see anything. There was nothing. And I ended up actually... I had a friend of mine who was an energy healer, and I was asking her about it otherwise, and she's like, you didn't see anything because it wasn't your time. There was nothing for you to see.
I saw something in my car accident.
Interesting.
I saw a white light, a tunnel. I was being drawn towards it, and it was so peaceful, and it was so beautiful, and I felt an enormous sense of calm.
I've got goosebumps. That's what people say.
In my life.
I didn't feel anything. I woke up, but I did wake up with a sense of absolute clarity and sense of like, I know what I'm here to do. And you know what was really
maybe you just don't remember your afterlife experience.
Maybe I don't, but I didn't bring it. There was no tea. There was no like dead rallies that I was talking to. There was nothing, none of that. No like go back to and do this in your life next. But So the last thing, I used to do a lot of facilitation for mental health chats in schools and whatnot. And one of the last things I'd done before I went into surgery was this talk at a school in Townsville. And I was sort of sharing my story and, you know, all the alcoholism and the bullying and how fitness had sort of saved my life. And I remember at the end of this talk, I'd been watching this girl who was in the front row, like just sobbing. And I was like, oh God, like I've really triggered something here. Like I'm going to have to just keep an eye on her. And at the end of it, she sort of waited for everybody to leave. And she came up to me and she gave me the biggest, most beautiful hug. And she was like, I just wanted to say thank you. And I was like, oh, you know, you're welcome. Like, you know, how's everything going? She was like, no, you don't understand. Like, thank you. And I just stood there and looked at her and she was like, today was the day I was going to kill myself.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
And listening to you, God, I get emotional thinking about it every time.
Cry.
Listening to you has made me realize that I'm going to ask for help, that I want to be here and I'm going to ask for help. And I just sort of like, what do you say to someone? Because I was like, I had no idea that something as simple as sharing my own story and how I dug myself out of my own hole could have such a profound impact on somebody else's journey.
It absolutely does.
And the me too of like, oh my God, I'm going through that. And now somebody else has been through it. They've come out the other side and the hope that comes with that.
Yeah.
And that conversation was the first thing that I remembered when I woke up in hospital. And I was like, this is what I
need to do.
I know what I need to do. I know what I want to achieve out of life. This is my purpose. And you know, whenever you read about people having those moments, you always think, so cliched, you know, like, of course you're going to say something like that. But like I said, no white light experience. And I didn't have anything that I can remember, but I did wake up with this resounding sense of like clarity and almost this is who I'm meant to be.
Wow. That's so incredible and so inspirational. And for someone like me who, you know, I really, if you've listened to the podcast, any of the other episodes, I have this yearning to get into fitness. But being, you know, 50 with the hormones and
so
the perimenopausal, I know, but and the energy, how old are you?
I'm 47.
Yeah, so
I'm 42 actually, but 47.
That's right. On the dating apps, you're 39, but on that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. How does one get the energy, the physical energy? So I think mentally anyone listening to this episode would be incredibly inspired. Like, I just want to go into a gym right now and do some boxing. But how do we get energy, and how did you manage to sustain your energy as, you know, you got older?
It's really interesting because it's kind of, the irony of this is, to get energy, you need to expend energy. It's almost like you could be incredibly tired and incredibly demotivated, but if you get out and went for a walk, I can guarantee you if you came back, you would have more energy than when you left.
But how do you get the energy to get up out of bed and go for a walk?
You've got to have, I always lean into how good I know I'll feel afterwards.
Yeah, everyone says that.
There has to be a buy-in. And I always say this when people are talking about how to get into fitness or how to find the confidence to go to a gym. And it's kind of like, you just have to talk yourself into starting.
But how do you do that? Because I know it's easier said than done.
Something about the process that you enjoy.
I don't enjoy any of the process.
But you enjoy how you feel after you've done it. So either, I can pretty much guarantee that it's usually one of three things. It's usually you come back and you love the feeling that you've been able to tick off something and you did something that you didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. Or you've loved the process of, like, you hated the Bulgarian split squats while you did them, but you loved the way your ass felt tighter afterwards. Or you come out the next day and you, for whatever reason, your pants felt better, or you looked yourself in the mirror and you were standing taller, or you went for a walk and you weren't puffing so much, or you love that part of the process. There is always something depending on the type of person that you are.
How about, I'm still on the first bit and getting to the gym. How about getting a good night's sleep and eating and all of those things? Because I think that's almost like the precursor to everything that you said. Because if you still feel like crap, no matter how much you think you're going to feel better afterwards, you still have to get out and schlep it out to the gym. So do you have a sleep routine, a diet routine that keeps your body energized to be able to do that?
No. And I've been an insomniac since I was 15.
Is it Diet Coke?
It's Diet Coke. That's the secret sauce. That and caramel koalas.
Because I can, if it's caramel koalas and a V energy drink, I could probably do it.
Well, there you go.
So is that really, because this is an interesting take, because obviously this is a health and wellness show and Lee's a nutritionist, but if we just take a minute away from that for a second, is it really as easy as that? Is it really because I let myself have one V a week, is it really as simple as I'm going to let myself have one V or a Red Bull, the full sugar one, not with the fake sugar, and a caramello koala. I'm going to have that for breakfast, and that's going to get me off my ass into the gym, and that's just going to kickstart my week, and that's okay.
Why not?
Lee, you'll need to leave the room.
But no, I don't believe in full restriction. I think moderation in all things, including moderation.
I think you need a bit of joy in your life. And if a V and some caramel koalas is going to give you a bit of joy back, I think that is almost more important than anything else. And maybe that's a controversial take. I've never had a specific routine. I do think the best morning routines start with a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
But I've struggled, like I said, with insomnia since I was 15, and in perimenopause, it's even worse.
So how do you deal with that then, with the sleep? What time do you go to bed? You must have some sort of sleep routine. I know for me, the Manta mask, I just bought a new one because the other one I've had it for so long that the Velcro doesn't work. When I put that mask on, I get an extra hour's sleep. It's like a full blackout mask.
I know that my sleep fluctuates depending, like it's almost like I don't have a cycle, but I still get the PMS symptoms, and certain parts of my cycle I sleep less. But I also know that I have a lifestyle that I can come home and have a nap. So I love a good power nap. I think if you're not getting a good night's sleep, a power nap becomes almost a staple, because that's how you can make up some time.
Okay, so how many hours sleep do you think, including the power nap, that you think your body needs in order to have the energy?
Needs versus getting. Look, one of my superpowers, and this is what also comes out in Naked and Afraid, because when you're out there, when you're hearing hyenas outside your boma for like the entire night and you're freaking out that a lion might come in and eat you.
Hang on, what's a boma?
A boma is basically a wall of thorns that protects you while you're out in South Africa. So it's between that and the yip, 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 yip of the hyenas trying to get in.
What's a hyena?
A really awesome big dog that has a
like a dingo.
Yes, but even ugly. Think Lion King. You know have you seen the movie Lion King? Yeah. You know the things, the evil things.
Oh my gosh!
The evil things that go with Scar. That's a hyena, and they are very much like that.
Does the film crew not stop them from?
The film crew aren't with us at night. We have a GoPro to film our demise, and we.
Don't you have a producer there getting it?
Not at night, but you have walkie-talkies. But I mean, look, by the time the medics get to us, it's like 30 minutes. Like if something's going to come into your boma, no. We had a tree in our last one, so that if anything looked like it was going to come in, we could climb the tree. So, but yeah, no. But I mean, so out there it became a superpower. But I think there's so many different strategies, and this is where fitness, nutrition, training, lifestyle is such an individualized thing. And what works for one person is not going to work for somebody else. And that's right down to sleep. Somebody else's sleep routine and going to bed at 8:30 p.m. and having blackout blinds when you've got spiraling thoughts, if you don't address the spiraling thoughts or the stress underlying that, doesn't matter what sleep routine you have in place, it's probably never going to work anyway. I think it's sometimes a lot of it is trial and error, and it's also giving yourself a little bit of grace. But it's hard because a lot of us aren't in a position to have an excessive morning routine, or we have responsibilities like kids and stressful jobs and all of those things. So you can't necessarily abide by all of the stuff that the influencers are putting out that would be optimal. And that's what I have a problem with these days, is that there is so much of optimal stuff being thrown around, and data. We're so reliant on technology and data to tell us how we're feeling and how our bodies are feeling that we often override how we know our bodies are feeling.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
We don't look deeper. Speaking of deeper, I did want to ask you about something, and I know that you've spoken about intervening in your mum's suicide attempt when you were 17 and how the gym became your safe place. You're now a mental health advocate and an ambassador for the suicide prevention charity called Live In. For the women listening who are holding everything together for everyone else, how can movement become their sanctuary too?
Oh, look, I mean, as cliched as it sounds, like fitness for me saved my life. You know, when I gave up drinking, I replaced one addiction with another, essentially. So I used fitness as my outlet instead of alcohol until I needed neither, because through fitness, whether you're just going out for a walk and it's the endorphins, because they are a real thing, that movement creates momentum. It can shift a lot of stuff for a lot of people. Quite often, if you get stuck in spiraling thoughts, if you get out and move, when you're not thinking about it, your subconscious will solve the problem. So I could be thinking about something for like hours and stressing over something, and I won't want to go for a walk because I'll be stuck in this problem. I'll put on a podcast or I'll listen to some gangster rap. And I'll get out there and walk, and halfway through I'll be like, oh my God, I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I'll get back and I'll have a solution. So I think sometimes we can get so stuck in our own self-loathing spirals or all of the things that we have to do that we forget that even just taking 20 minutes for ourselves to just get out and move things around can often give us the solution that we didn't even know that we were looking for.
That's so powerful, isn't it?
You know, movement, it creates momentum. And once you have momentum, like once you've taken that first step, the other steps will often inevitably follow. It's just forcing yourself to get out the door in the first place.
Yeah, I think it's mental as well for me, because I will say I did recently join a new gym, and I went to the gym and I put a podcast on, one of my true crime podcasts.
Love that.
And I put that podcast on and I did a good 20 minutes on the treadmill just listening to the podcast. So I know that my body is capable of doing a 20-minute walk, and it was a fast walk. It wasn't a slow walk. I know my body is capable of it. It must be a mind thing for me, because how can I not do it? Not like, oh, I'm too tired, I can't do it. And then I'll put a podcast on. Distraction. Or it might be an 80s soundtrack or some music or whatever, like the Flashdance soundtrack. And all of a sudden, I've got my Flashdance like clothes on and I'm off and running. What
but
is that?
I also think for you were talking the other week about how your husband pulls you out of work sometimes to go and do things.
Yes.
I feel like work is such a priority for you. That's like how you prioritize your life.
Yes.
So you work, and then you're so tired at the end of it. You just sleep and then get ready for the next day of work.
I, in my sleep, am still writing product descriptions.
I do that all the time. I remember when I was designing my programs initially, I'd be like, I even go home, because obviously strength coaching in the gym, I go home and I'll find myself counting reps. Yeah. And I'm like, who are you even training? Yeah. Like, what is happening here? I think you've got to, it's finding that, like, if you need to use the fact, I mean, that's evidence. What you just said to me there was you now know that you can do that. So you already have a piece of evidence and a piece of proof that tells you can do that. It's about creating the habit, right? So it becomes, and once you've done that for 21 days, so if you know that you can get on a treadmill and walk and not even think about it for 20 minutes, if you're listening to a true crime podcast, I would put that true crime podcast on or find a podcast that enables me to do that 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is every single day until it becomes part of your routine, and you can find something else to stack on top of that.
I love that, because I think I can, like, I really think I can do it. This has been incredibly inspirational. Incredibly.
Yeah, Alexa, I'd love to ask you about the programs that you have at the moment, your website.
The ones that aren't selling, because I'm terrible at marketing, yes.
But they look I can't believe they're not selling, because I went and had a look and they look so good.
Let's normalise launching a product and getting one sale on launch day.
Not after this episode.
Yeah, where can people find you, and tell us a little bit about the work that you do?
Look, I've sort of, now that I'm in my 40s, and I've definitely, after I had a hip replacement, it definitely changed the way that I trained. And I think strength training is one of those things that I think, I mean, no one ever regrets being too strong. And I think now it becomes less of like, training for our summer bodies, but, training for our old lady bodies. I want to get old in a place where I can age disgracefully. I can go out and have adventures. If I had nieces and nephews to run around with, I could go and play cricket with them and not worry about pulling a hammy on the way down there. I can go for a hike in the weekends. I can go and run naked through Zululand and, do all the things that I want to do. And that's what the gym allows me to do.
You want to be strong.
I want to be strong for life. I want my body to be able to do things outside of the gym. And that's what weight training allows me to do. It's not just about lifting the weight. It's about the confidence that comes from lifting the weight. And this goes back to, again, the proof and the evidence that your body can do hard things.
Well, I like the thought of, I want to be strong so I can be strong in my business is all the motivation that I need.
I love that.
And that's awesome. Yeah. I think that's a great way to think about it. Like if you can figure out how you can leverage physical training to translate over into better performance in whatever aspect of your life you want to perform the best in, that's
because it could be a mum. I want to be stronger so I can, pick up my children when when they don't feel like walking or whatever.
Everybody's got a different why. Like that's the thing about fitness. I went to the gym on a mission for muscles, and along the way I found something else. Yeah. And I think most people, if you talk to them about why they do their thing in fitness, whether it's like endurance sports, whether it's high rocks, whatever it is, it's like there's always some, I don't want to throw around the word trauma, but there's always some negative experience that they've usually come off that they're trying to cope with. They found, whether it's a community, whether they found that they love lifting weights, whether they found the competition aspect of it, something within the realm of fitness has then given them something else mentally that they've then taken out and been able to apply in the rest of their life. And I think that's the most important part of fitness. It's not looking great is awesome. Everyone wants to look good naked. Who doesn't want that? But how you feel in your own body, that's always going to trump everything else. And that's what you're going to take out in the world with you.
There's also a control element to it as well. I think being able to control your environment, 100%. Your fitness from not having control when you were younger.
Oh, for sure.
But you've written a book.
I have. Well, I've just handed in the certified hours, and dear God, was that a process. Honestly, I feel like writing the book about the adventures was harder than doing the adventures.
Tell us
themselves.
about the book. What can you say?
What can I say? It will be out. It's through Allen and Unwin. It took me 4 years to get it across the line. It's basically about the connection between physical and mental strength, how I got started in fitness, and then all of the lessons that I learned through my physical training in the gym that allowed me to then go out into the world and race horses across Mongolia and survive naked in jungle, and do all of the fun and crazy shit that I love to do.
Can you tell us? Can you tell us some of the other crazy things? So I just want to know: have you gone skydiving?
I have gone skydiving.
So you've skydived. Yeah.
You've swam with
sharks. You've gone sharks. You've gone naked in the jungle.
Yep, and naked in Zululand and naked somewhere else as well. Lots of naked.
Oh, where can for the male listeners? Where can they find you naked? On the weekend.
On my Instagram, no.
On Tinder.
Yeah. Way too many crazy things. But I mean, before Naked and Afraid, there was the Mongol Derby. You said you like horse riding.
I love horse riding. Yeah. I love horses.
After I had my hip replacement, I remember my surgeon saying to me, "You're probably never going to be able to squat ass to grass again. You're probably never going to run again. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you're really going to have to manage your expectations around." And I was like, "What is something I can do to disprove this theory?" And I was like, "I'm going to sign up for a 1,000-kilometer horse race across Mongolia, because why not?"
Wow, you are living proof that strong really is an attitude, Alexa. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been such a fun conversation.
Oh, absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Very inspiring.
Welcome back to Women's Splain, where Lee and I explain things to our man Justin. What have you got, J-Man?
Thanks, Irene and Lee. You may think I'm taking the piss with this question, and you wouldn't be wrong.
Here we go.
Why do I wee so very, very much? It seems my output of liquid is greater than my input of liquid. What's going on? Is there a bladder transplant donor list I can join?
All right, well, there's no list. And even if there were, you don't need it. But before I explain anything, I do need to run some diagnostics on you, and I'd love to ask you a few questions. Firstly, how many times a day are we talking?
Conservatively, 10. On a big day, more. I stop counting after 10, and that's not because that's how many fingers I have.
All right. And overnight, are you getting up during the night?
Mm-hmm. Easily 3 times. And I try to stop drinking anything about 2 hours before bed, and I'm still, shuffling to the bathroom, bumping into things throughout the night.
Really? All right. Noted. And what are you actually drinking across the day?
I start with a black tea because I'm not an animal. And then there's 1 to 2 coffees. At the moment, it's about 1 coffee in the morning. And I just pound herbal teas after that. And also water. I drink maybe 1 or 2 glasses. And I also occasionally partake of beer and wine on occasion. But like not every night, not every day, even like once a week, if that. Then if I have any drinks, like alcohol, I may as well make my bed where I make my toilet.
Oh, thanks for the graphic. All right. Well, yeah, that is a lot. Do you have any pain or any unusual feelings? Is the stream, and I asked this, clinically robust?
No pain, robust enough, and nothing unusual.
All right. Well, the good news is the actual red flag questions you have passed with flying colours. So what's left is lifestyle, habit, and a little bit of maths as well. So I want to give you some reasons why you wee so very much. I think number 1, you drink diuretics professionally. A tea, 2 coffees, that puts you on a caffeine drip, and caffeine pulls fluid out. Beer's also sneakier. Alcohol switches off vasopressin, the hormone that tells your kidneys to hold water. So every beer is you passing beer, not water. Number 2, I think you may have a rostering issue. That 2-hour cutoff before bed doesn't help because if you sit for most of the day, which I think you do, the gravity parks the fluid in your legs. So when you lie down, it rejoins circulation and your kidneys process it overnight. So that 2 a.m. wee is today's fluid and not last night's tea. The just in case wee. Your bladder holds up to 400 to 600 mils at any given time and gives you the first urge at half full, and then you sprint to the loo at every whisper. It becomes that smoke detector that goes off when you make toast. The fix is gradually letting it fill up properly instead of preemptingly weeing your way through the day. Do you know what I mean?
So hold on to it for a while.
Yeah, try and hold it to because your bladder shrinks otherwise unless you're really holding on to the urine.
So it's almost like training my bladder.
Yeah, it's retraining. Also, your math isn't really mathing. So about 20% of your daily fluid comes from food, not drinks. Fruit, veg, soup, yogurt, even, that curry that you love. Your body also produces water as a byproduct of burning energy. So your input is bigger than you think. And 1.5 to 2 litres across 6 to 8 wees is completely normal. You're not actually defying physics there. But the serious bit, genuine thirst that won't quit is worth a blood sugar check. So if you are feeling really thirsty all the time, it's definitely worth going to your doctor and checking that out. Getting up more than twice a night isn't just getting older either. That's also worth investigating. Yep. Usually men don't really report it and they don't really talk about it. So, yeah, they're my little tips for you.
Here's me talking about it on national radio. Awesome.
And in the spirit of fairness, women know this struggle intimately. Ask any woman who's had a baby or hit perimenopause about bladder confidence. Trampolines have ended our friendship. So honestly, Justin, we're all in this together.
So there really is we in we.
Oh, stop it.
No. So next up we have the segment that I absolutely look forward to every week. Irene has a rant.
I do have a rant, and it's really an unusual rant because it sounds like it should be a rave. But this month, the EU have changed the labelling laws, and I love a change of labelling laws because it's usually about exposing the toxic brands. But this one is about allergens in fragrances. So at the moment, there are 26 potential allergens that can be found in fragrances, including natural fragrances, and they're changing that. So you now need to declare up to 80. Well, this full list of 80. So there's about 3 or 4 that you'll find on the back of most natural products. But the issue, and so that will start getting a lot longer. The issue that the toxin-free space, and I have with this new labelling law, is that a lot of these allergens can be found in plants and pure essential oils, which are the fragrance blends that these beautiful natural brands use. So now all of these beautiful natural brands have to add all of these allergens that look like ingredients on their pack, yet all these synthetic brands that use all of these synthetic chemicals that are made in a lab that are just a cocktail of God knows what, toxins, phthalates or whatever, because they're not part of this list of 80 actual physical allergens, they don't need to include, so they can still go around their merry way.
And that's a lot of like the essential oils, isn't it? So things, lavender oil, ylang ylang, bergamot, all the ones that I really love.
Yes.
It's those plant-based essential oils, the plant-driven ones, they are going to have to now be labelled as
potential allergens. Yeah, and so you might think, well, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, this is the other issue, that a lot of people use these apps. The Yucca app, I think it's pronounced, and there's all these apps. But those apps look for these allergens, and then they give these beautiful natural brands bad ratings. So I've seen Walida, Black Chicken Remedies. Customers are sending me screenshots saying, oh, the Yucca app says that this is bad and you're selling it. Well, hang on. Why does it say it's bad? And the reason it's giving these beautiful products a bad rating, it's using these allergen listings on the bottom of their ingredients, and it's assuming that they're additives because there are synthetic versions or synthetic additives.
And fragrance allergens and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so to make it even more confusing, the app will say that a US product is safer than perhaps like an Australian product or a European product.
Oil or something.
Yeah, and the reason is in the US you don't have to list that allergen. So the app is not, it's the same product. It's just because the labelling laws are different, but the app doesn't differentiate between a natural component of a plant and an actual synthetic version of it or an additive. And then that's the problem.
Confusing for people.
So confusing. I mean, not everyone can just shop at Clean Nectarine, right? Well, maybe they should, because obviously I differentiate
because
you're
those. The one that goes through all of the ingredients lists and finds products, and people can go with confidence to your store to know that what they're buying is toxin free.
Well, if you take Walida, for example, the entire range is certified natural or certified organic, and some of those products come up in those apps as being, like a toxic product or not, a natural product. But you can't get any more natural than Walida. And I know that because I know what the certification means. And so I don't look at those apps because I work more on the actual ingredients and who's certified it. Because an app's an app, and that's just built by someone in tech, off an ingredients label. But a certification board, they have to do a full audit of your entire supply chain. And so that's where...
And do they do any recalls?
What's that?
Like, do they recall any product to get taken off the shelves because of these allergens?
No, I don't think they would do a recall. I think it's more that they just list them. I've never seen a product be recalled because when you think about it, I mean, my daughter's anaphylactic to nuts, and so macadamia is an oil, so it's not part of a fragrance. But hypothetically, if they were to change their labelling laws, and I think they should as well, change the labelling laws on products if it contains the same sort of allergens that you can find in food. Like if something's got a peanut, I just use the beautiful Dr. Hauschka, beautiful tinted day cream. I love that product so much. It's beautiful. But it contains peanut oil. And I do think, well, I mean, my daughter's not allergic to peanuts, but she might as well be.
She is allergic to macadamia.
She is. And no one ever, like no packet ever of skincare ever calls that. I mean, it's listed on there, but it doesn't say it in bold like it does in food. And I mean, I think that's problematic as well. So you're listing these potential allergens of plant. I've never heard of anyone ever having an anaphylactic reaction to a component of a plant, but we have for reacting to peanut oil and macadamia oil in product, yet that's not being listed on the label.
Strange, isn't it?
Anyway, bit of a rant today on labelling law.
Oh, well, that was a big episode, and we talked to Alexa today. If anything today hit home for you, please DM us. We read every single one. My nutritionist nerd notes are ready now, with all of Alexa's links included as well. And if today's chat brought anything up for you, support links are in the show notes too.
Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to share and subscribe. We want to get out to as many people as possible.
Yeah, and give us a review on Apple or Spotify. Bye.
Bye.
Mwah.
The Lee and Irene Show is a production of Clean Nectarine Proprietary Limited and Supercharged Food Proprietary Limited. It is hosted by Lee Holmes and Irene Falcone, with editing and technical support by Justin Smidmore. It is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute medical, health, legal or financial advice. The views expressed are personal opinions of the hosts and guests and do not represent the views of Clean Nectarine or Supercharged Food. This podcast does not establish a doctor-patient or other professional relationship. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your health or treatment.